It's a new topic, and today I will be a moderator, and my colleagues Timothy Wilson and Sergey Datko will be the main speakers. Timothy is a project manager and Sergey Datko is a product owner of NumberOk and Data Factory software. Today, we are going to give you 3 use cases about Data Factory. The first use case will be about violators control. The second use case will be useful marketing statistics. And the third use case will be about calculation of transit time. Also, Sergey is going to make demonstration in real time of FF Data Factory and NumberOk, universal traffic sensor for our big data processing data platform, FF Data Factory. And let me start from a short introduction of FF Group, and after it, I will share with Timothy this presentation. So, about FF Group. FF Group is a software vendor, and we are 17 years in security business, and 12 years we are focused on license plate recognition. FF Group has its own technology, and also 7 years ago, we moved to edge recognition on the base of processor inside of standard IP cameras. And our headquarters is situated in Europe, in Prague. If to speak about our product line, our camera embedded license plate recognition and make model color and vehicle type recognition application we created for such camera vendors as Hanwha, Axis, Mobotics, and Azena platform. So you can ask with camera vendors about application for license plate recognition or for license plate recognition and vehicle classification, and they will be glad to provide you with free demo, etc. Today, our main focus will be on our server-based software NumberOk for license plate recognition and vehicle classification, and a new product of FF Group, FF Data Factory. FF Data Factory, it's a big platform for working with a big data, which can be received via universal traffic sensor, NumberOk software. So you can collect, synchronize, and store big data in FF Data Factory. You can create individual dashboards for your clients without involving your own programmers. And also you can have alerts in real time. And more details about FF Data Factory and NumberOk you will get from Timothy. So Timothy, you are welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Nina. Okay, yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about some of the advantages that you get for using NumberOk and what you would get from using FF Data Factory, and go into some detail about how some use cases about how you can practically apply some of these to really get some good returns on your investment. So as Nina alluded in her introduction, one of the biggest advantages of using NumberOk with FF Data Factory is you don't need your own programmers. The whole idea is that you can use NumberOk to collect this large amount of data from the traffic flows as the camera is taking in, taking the pictures of the license plates and getting the make and the model and the color and pulling all this data in through its sensors. And FF Data Factory will allow you to do quick, rapid, real-time sorting, analyzing of all that data. And like I said, it's you're able to customize this without having any real in-house programming expertise or knowledge. This is all part of the platform. Another chief advantage is that this NumberOk system works with any IP camera. So it's basically camera agnostic. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these details later in the presentation as well. And when you get all this data, FF Data Factory is going to allow you to manage it a lot more easily and a lot more quickly than you otherwise could. And you even get things like video confirmation of camera events, for example. So using the combination of these, using this entire platform, combination of these services, you really get this very powerful tool for not only collecting the data, collecting all this data. And like I said, I'll go into some details a little bit later about how much can be collected, but also the sorting and the analysis of the data, which is extremely important, right? Because you can get all the data you want, but if you can't access it quickly or easily, or you can't sort it very well, you might as well not have it, right? This has been historically the problem of dealing with internet applications and traffic recognition software. License plate recognition software is no different, right? The more data we collect, the harder it's going to be to sort it. And this is where FF Data Factory and NumberOk come in and help out. Okay, I think we can take a look at the next slide, Lena. So yeah, so that as a standalone product, basically we showed you before that you could use, we have a Milestone XProtect database, which can manage all this data for you. But as a standalone product, what you get with FF Data Factory and NumberOk Lite sensor is the standard ability to pull this data in using the IP cameras. NumberOk Lite has the algorithm that can attach all the necessary metadata, and FF Data Factory will be able to sort and display it in user-friendly, easy to access ways. So you get this really robust, innovative ability to not only collect all that data, but as we will show you in just a little bit, when Sergey goes into some of these live demonstrations, you'll be able to also manage and sort it very effectively. And you get all these specific details. So let's talk about the back end a little bit, like what it looks like. So I mentioned the UI, the user interface, right? Having an easy, accessible, user-friendly user interface is essential. And this is what you will get with FF Data Factory. You have a smart search engine. So we can, if you have specific searches you're wanting to conduct, it's got the autocomplete. So as soon as you start looking for a specific model or a specific brand or a specific color, right, you start to get results immediately. So the smart search engine's able to assist with, again, dealing with this massive amount of data. You can get the photo confirmation, as you see in this example here of the actual event of taking the photo. You have the possibility of getting alerts for vehicles. So if there is a specific reason you have to track a license plate number, or a certain brand, a certain model and color, right? As you can imagine in some of the cases, as you will see in some of the cases we're going to talk about, you get this option to create those alerts that can notify people immediately when the camera has recognized a match. And then finally, one of the best things you'll get is this dashboard customization. So all these different views, you get all this metadata, you're going to need to sort it effectively, and FF Group can take this data for you and create this user interface and do it in a way that meets specific client needs, whatever those specific client needs happen to be. So it's not just providing this user-friendly user interface, but it's also highly customizable to specific needs. And some of that functionality will be coming out, I think, mid-May. Is that right, Nina?
Yes, you're right. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So again, this is where you're going to get a lot of value out of this is as you need these specific customizations. They can be made pretty easily and pretty rapidly with FF Data Group's engineers without much trouble at all. Okay, so let's take a look at our main features. So we were talking about the data, which is the whole point of all this. So the database can get 200 million events, 300 events per second, up to 100 cameras connected per server. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of data that can be gathered by this system. And in addition, and as I was just referring, you get these specific logic task constructors, we call it, which will allow you to, if you need to have some customization, some sort of algorithmic customization to manage data a specific way, depending on a particular client need, which we can go into what some of those needs might be in a little bit. But when you have those specific needs, we've got this ability to tailor it specifically to a task that a given client might have if they need that data managed or sorted in some particular way for their particular purpose for tracking certain kinds of cars, tracking cars and traffic flows at different times of day, those kinds of things. So like we said, just you're going to get a lot of data with the system. And when you get all that data, you're going to have a powerful resource to manage it. And you're also going to have the assistance of the folks at FF Data Factory to help you tailor and customize that interface so that you can get the most out of all of that data that you're able to pull in. All right, so I think we can go ahead and now and start looking at some use cases. So for example, let's say you have your a local police force, and you have an issue where you're looking for someone who's driving a car who, like, there are traffic violations in a particular region, and the person, or you're looking for a violator who is in a specific car, and you know the license plate number and you know the make and the model. You can put this on a list so that as the sensor detects the specific make, model of car or the specific license plate, that alert can be sent out to people who need to be notified of it. It's that simple. Also, if after the fact there is some known violator in an area, and that area has been covered with a NumberOk sensor, a search can be run on that database. And like we've been saying since the beginning of the presentation, the powerful features that we have to run quick, robust, fast searches allows people to pull up this information pretty quickly and pretty rapidly. So when there is a need to go back and check, for like millions of events for specific makes, models, license plates, to find these, somebody who's on a violator list, for example, this can be done pretty rapidly and pretty easily. And then finally, you can export the results pretty easily as well. So if there ends up being, a good list of potential matches for some violator search, right? You get this easy ability to extract that data and then have it consumed by someone else's system. So that way they can, run whatever analysis they might need to run on it. So you not only can, customize the searches and do these things like we were talking about within our system, but the export feature obviously allows you to take that data and then consume it in a way that might, be more suitable to some other system that you've got as well. So you get both of those options. And I think Sergey can show us an example of a real-time example of that.
Yes, of course. Let me share my screen. So I hope now you. Again, in general, how our data factory looks like. So it has its own web user interface, several tabs, and in the general tab you could see all information about recognized license plate, vehicles, and models. So all those sensors, I mean, applications and other vendors. So what we get here, we get all general information about the vehicle date and time when this license plate was recognized. You have information about the country and state. If we are talking about the US, also you have information about the vehicle brand, vehicle type, model, and vehicle color. Additionally, you could open the wall frame if you want to understand the general situation and what's happening. Additional possibility, you could switch to the list mode and you will get all of the information as a list. So you have also additionally some cropped photo of license plate. You could open the event and see all of that information. And let's talk about our search engine here inside the data factory. So we was trying to develop something, I don't know, like Google search. For example, what I'm talking about, if I want to find some Volkswagen vehicle, I don't even remember how it's typed, but I just starting to input the Volkswagen name, and I have a hint. So I just need to choose Volkswagen, and I want to find some SUV, maybe Tiguan, okay, with black color. So, and I have all of these hints, then try to search, and I get all black Volkswagen SUV, which was recognized by our system. Then you could also open the wall frame with this vehicle. And as Timothy mentioned, all of the data could be exported to standard PDF file if you would want to get some report with images, or you could export it to standard CSV file and then cooperate with it. So in PDF, you could find all of that information which was generated in our report. Okay, let's switch back. So additional possibility, you are able to choose data source. For example, I have 3 video channels connected to the NumberOk software, and I could also specify from which source I want to generate a report. And additional possibility, I have a filter with vehicle type. So if I didn't remember that a vehicle model, then I could specify, for example, I need to find Volkswagen SUV and then start search. Seems we do not have the data from the data source. And yeah, and now additionally also I will have all Volkswagen's SUV here. Let's try something different. Let's try to find, I don't know, maybe some Ford vehicles for the SUVs. And we get additional data about some Ford F-Series, Ford Escape, and etc., etc., etc. And as I mentioned, all of this data could be exported to PDF or CSV file. Also here in the search, you could also switch to list mode if for you it's easier to use list mode. You could switch to this mode and sort the data in that way. So Timothy, I will pass word back to you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Thanks, Sergey. All right, so yeah, that was a great live example of how this can be used in case 1. And so now we'll take a look at case 2, I think, when we get back to the slides. I think, see, are we back on the slides and looking at case 2? But as we get there, I'll go ahead and just talk us through it. So when we get to slide 2, we'll be talking about, or case 2 rather, excuse me, talking about another possibility of using our system with parking occupancy control. And so here you can imagine that a large parking lot for, say, a shopping center. for example, that has thousands of cars come into it and out of it every day, and having this ability to monitor the traffic as it comes in and out and collect data on it can be very powerful for I can think of at least a few different reasons, but I'm sure people can think of many more. But one of them is you can check those models, and let's just say, for example, shopping, centers, marketing's a big deal, and you can check models of vehicles, and so it's possible to run some analysis and reports and say, okay, well, after a few weeks of collecting data, you notice that on Mondays or Fridays, you get a higher number of like high-end vehicles like BMWs and Mercedes and things like that coming into your shopping center. And maybe that can alert potential, sellers that it's a good idea to run sales on people who would, drive those kinds of cars for some reason. Or you get an idea of the traffic flows, what sections of the parking lot are busier or less busy at certain times of day, and certain times a week, for example. And so then you can figure out a way to manage that a little bit better. Like the west end of the shopping center seems to be really crowded. People seem to be coming in from that end. So maybe we can manage, like tell stores that's the better place to have a shopping store, something like that. Or it's possible to determine what the volume is and say, okay, well, these are not our busy days. Maybe these are our busy days. So we can run, like these kinds of discounts, outdoor sales versus indoor sales and things like that. So that way, again, you get a lot of powerful data that you can use to help determine the best approaches, help to focus, marketing, help focus, the kinds of marketing that you do and where you do it in the shopping center. And it all comes from being able to, gather all of this data that's coming into and out of the parking lots of the shopping center, and being able to manage and sort it and analyze it so quickly and effectively. And again, I think we have another example that we can walk through with Sergey.
Yeah, let me share my screen again. So how we can get all of that information that Timothy told just about. So here in Data Factory we have a chart tab where you could find all of the information that it could be useful for some marketing activity or something like this. For example, you have just a simple chart where you could understand your vehicle quantity per day. For example, you could see that, let's imagine that this is our parking on the mall. And for example, in early morning hours, it's not so popular, but after the noon, our traffic flow is increased. And it also provides some additional possibility to make some ideas how to provide additional activity on that hours. And for example, we also have additional statistic for week with vehicle quantity, and we could analyze our most popular days. For example, here on Wednesday, we could see that our traffic flow extremely increase, and then we could plan some also additional activity for that day. And for example, if we want to get more clients on Monday, then we could plan some additional activity for Mondays. And for example, we have additional simple statistic about top 5 most popular vehicle brand and models. And for example, we could understand that most popular vehicle models that are visiting our site is Acura. So for example, we could also plan some activity, maybe not for Acura owners, but for Audi owners who are not so often visited us. For example, provide some additional extra discount for Audi owners on Mondays, for example, additional to that. So we have some tool which help us to make some additional decisions. Yeah, we have fast data which we could analyze very quick and provide some additional decisions about marketing activities or something like that. So additional graph which you could find here about the vehicle type. So additionally, you could analyze what is the most popular vehicle classes which are visiting your site. For example, if you have a small parking lot and you understand that most of vehicles is SUV, so they are bigger than the regular car, then you need to understand that you should optimize your parking lot for SUV vehicles and something like that. So Timothy, I will pass word back to you.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Sergey. That was a good demonstration of how the charts can be effective, how charting the data can be effective in that scenario. And again, just to underscore this point, this important point, the data that you get, that you're able to take in and sort and analyze is so powerful that these are just a couple of examples of what you can do with it. And that's probably the most important thing is getting that data and then being able to figure out from that data what you can do with it is really just it's invaluable, because again, I mean, that's how you learn, it's the data that allows you to focus what you're wanting to do. And so finally, in our last use case example, we can take a look at how this might apply in civil engineering perspective, like with city workers. So like in municipalities. So here's an example where we can use our platform to calculate transit times. And if you have a camera at one point and then some distance down the road, you have a camera at the other point, you can calculate the transit time between those points. Also, you can manage the traffic, or you can analyze the traffic flow. And so this gives city planners a lot of valuable information about how to allocate resources if they need to, as they almost often all the times do, need to, make changes to their civil infrastructure. So if, for example, they see that in this one case at this one time of day or on this consistent pattern, that the traffic flow gets slower than what they think it should be, and the data supports that, well, this is good evidence that resources need to be allocated to that area to increase traffic flow. And maybe that's the widening of lanes, maybe it's the reduction of stop signs and traffic signals. Maybe there's some other cause for it that the data will allow the municipal employees and the civil engineers to make informed decisions about, so they can more effectively allocate those resources. And again, this is just one example of how you can use this system in the context of municipal planning, and really get value for not, in this case, it seems like very much overhead, where you've just got your two cameras and you just collect your data, and that data can then give you a lot of powerful information that allows you to make these informed decisions about how to manage a lot of money, sometimes probably even millions of dollars. So I think when you look at it that way, is pretty powerful system that can be used pretty effectively if you use it in some of the ways that we're talking about here. All right, so those are the use cases. Do we have I don't think we've got anything specific to show on this one. So we'll talk about how you can get a full feature demo. So there is the possibility, if you are interested, of getting a full-featured demo that can be set up in 24 hours. So I think at the end of this presentation, Nina will speak a little bit more on this topic, on this point, about where to go to investigate this and see what you can do as far as taking a look at what the NumberOk Lite and FF Data platform offer. So like we said, you got all these features, and it'd be nice to, I'm sure, take a look and see for yourself what you can do with it. All right, and so we've got that. And then finally, I think we can go over some of the highlights that we've talked about and reinforce some of the main ideas, and then talk about some of the specific particular benefits of using NumberOk. So you've got this algorithm with NumberOk Lite. It's one of the best universal sensor for recognizing all this vehicle data that you were able to see in Sergey's examples, and it can work with any IP camera. And I think there's another slide that'll show us a little bit more information about that on the next one. Let's see.
Timothy, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We have a question from our audience. Do I need to buy a separate license for Mexico recognition and separately for the USA recognition?
I feel confident that that answer is going to be no, that you don't need to buy a separate license. I think one license includes those regions. So it's going to be.
We can use one license of NumberOk for recognition Mexico and USA. And what about Canada?
Canada, I believe that North American continent is included there. So USA, Mexico, and Canada, and that's covers all 50 states in the US. You've got the provinces in Canada, and of course the various states in Mexico. But yes, one license covers all those areas.
Thank you, Timothy.
Oh, sure.
Further?
Yeah. Okay. In summation, these are going to be some of the benefits that you're going to get from NumberOk Lite. You get a high quality, a high accuracy rate from the camera recognition software. So more than 95% of the photographs are going to be accurate. You got high speed data collection, and by high speed I mean the speed of the vehicle. The vehicle can be traveling at speeds up to 250 kilometers per hour, which I think translates to something like 150 miles per hour in English. Just kidding, like in American English, and in the American system, the statute system, whatever the miles. I think it's about 150 per hour, which is pretty fast. So you can cover up to 4 lanes at 150 miles per hour. As Sergey had pointed out in one of his demonstrations, you can have several channels up to 36 on one server to do your data collection. You get this value-added algorithm, the MMCR, the model, make, color, and recognition software that can give you all this data that Sergey was talking about. You don't need any external platform, like any hardware or anything to install it, like a dongle, USB stick. You don't need anything to get the software up and running. It even works on virtual machines. It's camera agnostic, it's camera versatile, we say. So pretty much any standard IP camera this will work with. You get this, when answering that question about the license, you get the license in perpetuity. It's a perpetual license, and you also get the benefit of the free regular updates, the LPR updates, from the folks at Data Factory or FF Group, who are constantly working to improve the product. So you get all these great benefits.
Thank you, Timothy. And one more questions about is it possible to install NumberOk and Data Factory on one server? Maybe it's a question to Sergey.
Yeah, definitely it's possible. So you will just need to know our requirements for about hardware for data factory and for the NumberOk, but these both softwares could work on simultaneously on one physical server.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and let me share my screen. I will show just in short how our NumberOk looks like for them who didn't see it before. So NumberOk is a server-based software, yeah, that provide you possibility to recognize not only license plate but vehicles, makes, and models. So all of the data which could be recognized by NumberOk, we transfer to our FF data factory, and in this case, FF data factory play a role with upper level software. So all of the data from different NumberOks could be collected in one place in NumberOk. From NumberOk could be collected in the data factory. And in NumberOk, we have several also tabs which allows you to connect any IP camera. Also, additional possibility of the NumberOk, you could connect any recorded video file. It could be useful for proof of concept or maybe for tests. So if you want to analyze if already installed cameras could work well with license plate recognition system, you could just get some part of recorded video, put it to NumberOk, play it, and all the license plate will be recognized from this video file, and all of this data will be sent to our FF data factory. And about how the data is sent into the data factory. So to activate this feature, you will just need to go to the settings, integration, and just enable sending JSON files. You will need to specify some sensor ID. It's just kind of name of your system. Just press apply button, and all of this data will be sent to FF data factory. So all of this recognized license plate will be displayed here in the data factory, and then you will be able to provide some additional search, make reports, and etc. etc. And if you want to know additional possibilities of our NumberOk, we have separate technical webinars where I just told about more in details how to configure NumberOk, how to choose proper camera position for the license plate recognition, and etc. etc. So if you are interested in more technical details, you are welcome. We will be glad to invite you to our technical webinars. So Nina, I will pass word to you. Or Timothy.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Also, we'd like to add, as to summarize this presentation, thank you for colleagues, that you can try our server-based software NumberOk Lite MMCR for license plate recognition, make and model and color and vehicle type recognition in combination together with big data processing platform FF Data Factory. And also we appreciate if you share these free basic use cases with your real end user customers and give us feedback. Give us more details requirement from your end user, and we'll be able to discuss with you such development of individual dashboard for your customer. Also, we have partnership programs for installers and distributors. And if you are interested to know more about it, you can send us a request, and we'll be glad to discuss it personally with you. And if you have already have any project, you can make a project registration, and we'll be glad to discuss your project in details. So we are waiting for demo requests from you, for some feedback after discussing of FF Data Factory use cases with your customers. And thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. See you soon in NumberOk technical webinars. Have a good day.
Thank you and have a good day, and
Thanks, everybody.
goodbye.
Ciao. See ya.